Are you looking for a podcast where you can hear from real people regarding their real dental drama? If so, then you've come to the right place. Join hosts Bethany Petty and Dr. Rena Kuba as we dive into the solutions we've created and the mistakes we've made while managing dental drama. Let's get started.
Hey lady, how are you?
I am good. How are you?
I am kind of stewing right now. Fumes are coming out of my ears right now.
Oh, wait, let me look. Okay, I can, yes.
Because, for once, it wasn't my drama, but I have been there before, and it sucks and it makes me angry, and I now have, for the most part, protections in place to help me not be a victim of this, yet again. But it happened to a really good friend of mine, and she texted me this morning, and she doesn't, we see each other at things, but, we talk a couple of times a year. And so she texted me and was like, hey, if you have time, can you call me? I just need to vent to somebody who will understand. And I'm like, uh-oh, what happened? Because she doesn't call to vent.
Right.
I'll put it that way. She's not a drama at all. Yeah. She's very even keel. And so it was just kind of odd.
Yeah.
That
you knew it was a big deal.
I knew something wasn't right. So call her. And apparently, she had her team building event, and she was doing it at this hotel where people could take their kids, because in Texas it's still really damn hot.
It's so hot.
And so there's kind of a little water park, and so that she does that every year. Maybe they didn't do it last year. Anyway, but she had gotten rooms for each team member so that they could go and check in, and then you could get the water park access tomorrow too, and whatever. And she said, this morning, the day they're supposed to check in, not one, but two team members, one texted her and said, I've got cramps, so I'm not going. And the other one, her mom needed her to watch her dog or something. She's dog sitting. So she's not going. So my friend was like, I'm just super annoyed because at the beginning of the summer, hell, even at the beginning of the year, she may have said, hey guys, do y'all want to do this? Do you not want to do this? And the team was like, oh no, we love doing that. We would love to do that.
Yeah.
And so she's had it booked for months. And the day that they couldn't, if they didn't want to go, because to me, if you've got cramps, come on, come up with a better excuse than that, honey.
Yeah.
So that annoys the bejesus out of me. Although, if you had said we're in a car accident, because that's what RDAs and team members tend to, I don't believe anybody when they say they're in a car accident, because
like, there are a lot of car accidents.
Yes, and they seem to be a profession that is just really attracted to car accidents. I don't hear any other people and any other, anyway. So I was like, good, I guess, that they stated their truth, but at the same time, I find it lazy that you're telling the doctor, a female doctor, that you can't go because of cramps. So that just washed all over me. I was like, okay. And then the dog one, I'm like, really? So I don't know. I found it to be extremely off-putting, really disrespectful, very indicative of a culture issue, which I didn't want to say all of that to my friend, right? Yeah. Because she's almost like, I'm just really annoyed. Yeah. But she's very chill and even, right? She's not the drama like me, so I wanted to make sure I didn't infuse drama into her, because I was like, my hair's on fire, and she just seems annoyed. So let me make sure I don't spread the fire, but I was like, I couldn't help myself, right? I just said, well, I'm sure you're just telling me for me to listen.
Yeah.
But can I say something? Can I offer some advice? And she was like, yeah. And I said, well, I think some of the things that I've done since have been what I do in my contract when I take people to continuing education.
Yeah.
Where we did charcuterie boards earlier this year. Well, I had to pay, the $50 or whatever per board, and they had to have a certain number of boards there. So I had to prepay.
Right.
So now if somebody doesn't show up, I'm out that 50.
Right.
So my team knows if you are saying you are coming and I bought you a board, if you bail on me that day, I'm going to take that 50 out of your paycheck. Mm-hmm. And I don't care what the excuse is. They know I don't care if your mom died, if your kid died,
Yeah.
if you were in a car accident and you're on life support. Like, I'm getting that $50 back.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm out that 50, right? Like, don't hit me with an excuse. I know stuff happens, but let's all be big girls and boys here. If we commit to something and we can't. And I think for me, the reason this is also flying all over me, because I'm like, from a culture standpoint, you're taking advantage of your doctor. You have very little respect for what your doctor has tried to do. One of them apparently had the audacity to say, you know what, I don't know if it was this time, but she said, maybe it was when she was asking, like, what do y'all want or whatever, when she was planning, and somebody said, oh, well, we prefer cash bonuses, or I like cash bonuses. I'm just like, who has the nerve to say that to your doctor?
Yeah.
So I find that very tacky. And anyway, I just wanted your thoughts, and then how to handle it. I told her what else I thought, but before we get into that, I just wanted your thoughts. Am I being dramatic about this?
No, I can't tell you how many times I have my clients reach out to me with something like this, because they put so much time, thought, money into planning something. I would venture to say maybe even 50 to 60% of the time they have somebody back out. It's an alarming amount of times that somebody backs out, usually last minute. And so then my client is reaching out with the same exact question that your friend may have been asking, which is, what do I even do with this? Like, what do you do with the fact that you've put all this money out and now they're bailing very disrespectfully in the last minute? It makes me super frustrated, I think, because I'm on the other side with the client usually helping to plan these things. Not always, but a lot of times I get the opportunity to speak into these things. I know the financial contribution that they're making. And oftentimes I'm even the one that's like, hey, why don't you scale back on that a little bit? Because I know how much of a struggle it is to invest that much into that particular event. And so I see the effort that they put into it. Now, not every practice owner is going to that much mental and emotional effort to plan these, but from my clients, most of them do. They put a lot of time and thought into it. And so this is so common, frustratingly common, that I think it's something we absolutely need to talk about on this episode, because I can guarantee you any practice owner that is listening has likely had it happen to them before.
Well, even if you're not, for me, we've talked about in other episodes how I love planning these team buildings, and I love, like, that's just, something I enjoy doing. And for the ones that are like, God, I hate this, and might do even something as simple as, okay, we're going to try to reserve this room for dinner. So it's not a ton of effort. You're calling and making a reservation, but even that is effort to try to find, like, do you want a private room? Do you not? Like, what are the pros and cons of that? Because if you really want to talk and have conversation, for us, I usually like to try to infuse some icebreakery type game or some activity, or at Christmas time, gift exchange. Like, what are we doing? Well, to get a private room, most of the time there's a food and beverage minimum you've got to meet. Mm-hmm. So even if you're planning on 10 of your team members coming and you're like, okay, each meal, like if I pick the preset menu that this restaurant is offering, and, it's going to be $70 a head plus a drink or whatever it might be. And now 3 of those people don't show up. Well, now you're not going to meet your food and beverage minimum. So each person's like cost is going up. And I think, to me, where I kind of thought with this friends, where I said, okay, I was quick to judge and assume that these staffs were being obnoxious and disrespectful, and just, to me, that's obnoxious. I've got my, we're not going hiking in the heat. You were going to a bougie Dallas hotel.
Yeah.
That's one of the top hotels in the city, to sit poolside, and if it's too hot, to sit in a nice room. Like, what better place do you want to be when you have cramps?
Yes.
Get away from anybody who could be getting on your nerves. Go check into a hotel and, like, go live it up there for a night. So to me, I was just like, this is somebody who's just being tacky. You're not going to change my mind on that, but that's how I feel about it. But I'm a feeler. But let's just say it's even somebody very youthful, and they have no idea that the doctor is going to have to pay this room rate and not have any, like, I don't believe that that's true. But even at that, like, I guess to me, this is something that for anybody listening to this, we've all either had a birthday party for our kids where we're like, okay, Chuck E. Cheese, I can only invite 12 people to stay under this cost package.
Yeah.
And now these 2 kids didn't show up. Now what am I supposed to do? I could have invited 2 other kids. Now that's going to waste. Now I'm going to have all this extra pizza that I could have gone with a lower tier if I'd known I had fewer kids. Like, we've all had a wedding where people don't show up and now you've paid a per cost. So I think for anybody to act like you don't know that your doctor had to put in something and is losing money because you bailed at the nth hour, I think just is, I'm not buying that you didn't know.
No.
I think it's selfish.
I think it's, you don't care.
Yeah. It's not my money.
I think that it boils down to, you know that it's costing the practice owner something, but ultimately you don't care.
Yeah.
And that's what's really disappointing. In this example, in all of the examples I can think of hitting my head right now, it ultimately is disrespectful to the practice owner. And I've had plenty of clients on the other side that have said, forget it, I'm done. They want this culture, they want these team building events, but then half of them don't show up. I remember even my dad, who, again, loves doing stuff like this for his team, telling me, this was maybe this time last year, or maybe spring of last year, I knew he was prepping for this cookout that he was opening it up to all the teams. He had bought all this meat and hot dogs and all this stuff to be cooking himself. By the way, he wasn't catering this out. Like, he's doing it. He has a farm, so he had spruced the farm all up, gotten the house cleaned up so that everybody could have a place to go if it got too hot. And it's a lot of work to put on an event like that. And it wasn't just for his team, it was for their families as well. And it was come one, come all. Anybody can come and I'm happy to host you. And he had multiple families back out at the last minute. And so for him, yes, there's financial cost of all this meat that goes to waste and all of that. But that was a labor of love for him, that he himself was putting that effort into all the work. My mom said he had worked for a couple of weekends to get the farm, all the land mowed and seats out there and all this kind of stuff. And then for people not to show up at the last minute. I think he said he ended up having like half the people that he was expecting. And so not only is it disrespectful to the doctor that has put his or her time and energy and effort into that, but then also it makes that person never want to do it again. And my dad said, hey, it was fun. I'm glad I did it, but I will never do it again because of the amount of work that I put into it and the result just wasn't there. So I don't think what team members are realizing is not only is it a punch in the gut right there in the moment, but it makes them rethink, am I going to even do this again?
So I guess listening to that, then to play the devil's advocate side from the team side, is that, oh, well, I didn't ask you to do all that. I didn't ask you to spend your whole weekends. Why are you putting that on me? And so, I guess that's not unfair either, but I think my argument to that then is, I guess it depends. If you don't care about all of that culture and environment, then my guess is go work at corporate where the whole vibe and point is to make money.
Yeah.
And so a lot of those places aren't going to spend money on making teams happy because everybody knows the goal is to make money at the end of the day. So if you're not this touchy-feely, oh, I want to feel appreciated, oh, I want to be seen person, but if you're working for a doc that clearly, like my friend, clearly is very intentional about showing her appreciation, about having a good culture on the team, about making accommodations for so-and-so, like you're having a tough week, your husband's out of town and your kid's sick, and so I'm going to let you come in late this week. So I guess I think like for things like that, where those of you that work for a place that you say you want that, and then now it's, well, I want it, but when I want it and on the terms I want it on.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to go down to downtown. That's a far drive for me.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet pea. Like, I don't know. I'm a little too emotional because I do put so much into it for them.
Right.
And so, I mean, even now we've got two right now that are kind of not into the team.
Yeah.
And the whole team sees it and feels it. But there are two that are kind of aloof, I guess. And to be fair to them, like, fine, if you're not an office where you would rather have a line that you don't cross. This is my boundary. I get along with y'all at work, but I don't want to have anything to do with you. I don't want you to know anything about me. I don't care. I can totally see that, and I want to respect that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, then I don't think it's fair if later you come back and you... And not that they have, but I think if one of them were to if I ever caught wind that one of them's like, oh, well, you know, rather than this, I think she should have just given me a bonus, or rather than that, I think that would fly all over me. Luckily, they haven't done that. They've just been very clear about they don't really participate in anything outside of the office. They don't really... We're doing our own pool event on Monday coming up, and they've known about it. I've told them 6 months in advance, like, save the date for this. Mm-hmm. They know what we're doing, and two of them just don't want to come.
Yeah. But that is one thing I like about you. Even though you put all this time, money, and energy into it, you notify them well in advance, and it is optional. You make that really, really clear. Like, I would love for everybody to be here. I would love for y'all to participate. I'd love to thank you for surviving the summer. This is my way of showing appreciation to you. It's open to everybody. But it is 100% optional. If you don't want to go, you need to tell me. So even though you put all this time and effort in, your expectation is every dang person better be there. No.
Well, no, it hurts my feelings when they're not there. Yes. I don't like it.
No.
I wish
they
were there. Yeah,
you do.
The people pleasing in me is like, oh, did I pick a bad event that y'all don't want to go? Who else doesn't want to go, but they feel obligated to come now?
Yeah.
So I don't like it, but I think for me, I've had to get there over the years to go, well, first of all, I make it optional too, because if I don't, then at some point somebody's going to be like, well, you know, where's my paycheck for sitting poolside? You're not getting a paycheck, honey. Like, this is... But, I do think, like, even if sitting by the pool is not your jam, honestly, it's not my jam either. But I do it because I want to show my appreciation, and I know how important it is for us to get along as a team. And if we can get to know each other outside of the office, then we're more likely to be able to function as a well-oiled machine once we know each other's nuances. Yeah. And you're kind of depriving us of that opportunity. And then y'all pick and say, oh, well, it's front versus back. Well, yeah, because the back always hangs out together. The front never participates. Like, what do you want me to do about that? So you've done it to yourselves. But I don't like it. I wish they would come, but I'm not going to force you to come.
Exactly.
But a lot of that too, where I was very hurt and very upset earlier on in my years of doing this, but I think that was part of it too, where I'm like, no, now I want to be very clear, because I don't want to buy, 10 day passes and spend $100 on each day pass and only 7 of you come. That's going to piss me off.
Yeah.
So to protect myself, I've now had to temper my expectations, and say to each his own. If it's something you want to miss out on, I guess maybe I'm FOMO and you don't experience FOMO. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
So,
but I think that's protected you a lot, even though it still is like disappointing that not everybody chose to come. I think it's protected you in some ways, because then you can clearly say, if you are RSVPing to this, you are expected to be there.
Yeah.
So rather than I'm strong-arming every single person to come into this event, if you work at this office, you better be there. Instead, you've said very clearly, it is optional. I want you to be there, but it's optional. And then you can put that strong expectation. Like, if you RSVP, I'm expecting
I even tell them some. Like, if it is a ticket, if it's a ticket to a comedy club, I think we had that one night. And I was like, okay, so if you please check your calendars, make sure you've got childcare and whatever, because I'd hate to have to get reimbursement back and let this ticket go to waste. But that's so.
And I think that's a great expectation.
And I think I did that like once or twice, because I'm like, I don't want to be tacky and be like, I'm buying your tickets for $40 a ticket, and then I've got to do this, and then I've got I don't want to make it about that. I'm trying to treat you and host you, and I don't want you to know what I spent on you. Right. But I think once or twice of that, and now they know. Like, we've set the culture that, if you say you're coming and I've spent money on you, then then now you're committed to coming. Mm-hmm. And if you decide that you can't, like your cramps are really too bad, that's okay. You can reimburse me the $300 for the hotel night.
Right. Right. And I think that's
And there
fair.
should be no hard feelings.
Yep.
So,
yeah. I think that's a fair expectation because, again, they're not being forced to be there. They have said and committed. An RSVP is a commitment to be there. And if you don't come, you pay for it. And that is a fair expectation. And I think that's an area where, as practice owners, it does give a little bit of control. Because I can't tell you how many conversations that I've sat with people going, okay, what do I do with this situation? And to me, we change the culture of those team building events to go, hey, whatever, they just feel like this is loosey-goosey. You can come, you can go. There's no big deal. We've got to set these team building events up to carry the importance that they truly have. And like you pointed out just a second ago, this is, yes, a way to honor your team and to show respect for your team and to appreciate them. But it has an impact on the way that we communicate with each other in the office and on our teamwork and how gelled we are as a team. It is beneficial to the practice as well. So they are important, and the team should know that level of importance for these team building events.
I even remember, I do board examining for the ABPD, pediatric oral board exam. And I remember the first year I did it, I lived like 5 minutes from the hotel where they were putting us up at. And I felt guilty. I'm like, now the board is going to have to pay to put me up at this nice hotel that they're probably spending $200-300 a night for me when I live 5 minutes away. And I think a lot of us at that time, the exam was held in Dallas, and a lot of us were, the majority were flying in. There were maybe 3 or 4 of us that lived in Dallas, and then the other 70 were flying in. And so I thought they were just extending it to be polite. So I said, hey, no hard feelings. And the director at that time was like, oh no, we encourage all of our examiners to be together so that way you guys get to know each other. You're sitting on the bus together when we're transporting you to and from the exam facility. When you are going to dinner, that's why we organize these dinners so that y'all can get to know each other, because then you have some it's the first time you meet and talk to each other should not be right there in front of the candidate when you're about to give an exam. Like, right. You want a good, smooth, fair exam. And if you've already broken the ice with people and you've met and talked with people, then you're going to have a better exam for both the candidate and to protect the integrity of the board. And that was a lesson learned then. I was like, okay, you're right. And so in our offices, for us to, I always talk about how it's to give each other grace. When, sweet Sally at the front is being a ding-dong, and you're like, God, I want to kill her. But then you see how nice she is outside, and you see, like, you saw her, how she interacted with that that waiter that was ignoring us, but all her sweetness won him over. And now he was paying a lot of attention to our group and even got us around to free shots. Yeah. That was sweet Sally. Okay. She can seem like ding dong, but she's really sweet.
Yeah.
And then you've got, Mayhem Mary, the bitch back here, and we're like, we all can't stand her. Like, she just rides us all day. But then she's the one telling jokes at the party, and like, she's the one making everybody laugh. And when the waiter forgot our food, she's the one who got back there and got our food going so that we weren't starving. Like, you just see things about each other that you're like, you know what, this person seems like a real bee at work, but she's actually quite effective and quite funny. I actually quite enjoyed working with, being around her here. And it may not be the case. There may still be people where you're like, I can't stand her in the office and I can't stand her outside either. Right. But at least the majority of the time, the feeling is we're a team. We're, quote, a family. Like, we're trying to function as a well-oiled machine. And like, we don't love all our family members, but we've got to get along, and this helps us get along when we have these gatherings. So I think for me, that's how my first thought is, like, trying to like each other and find things to appreciate about each other is easier to do when you're outside the office. Yeah. Or things, that's what I was saying, like, I like to try to play games or whatever, like some, I think just even now where I'm like, okay, we're all going to be sitting in a pool with our drinks on, at our event. And we've got some new people and, whatever, like, let's play 2 truths and a lie. Yeah. Let's play a would you rather. Because I think things like that will not be about dentistry, not be about work. Maybe we don't want to hear about, Mary's mom's third surgery on her, right? Like maybe that's all Mary talks about. We're like, we're tired of hearing about your mom, or tired of hearing about your dog. Like, I don't know. But it might be like, oh, I didn't even know you had a dog, or I didn't know. And so things that can help generate to get to know each other. And dare I say again, if you don't want to get to know each other, maybe the corporate environment's what's right for you. Then off you get. But if you're in our offices, you've told us that you want to be here because you're acknowledged and seen and your voice matters and you like the team and you like the harmony. And then yet you're the one who's going to bail on me at the nth hour? Like, that's not okay.
No. It's not fair to the doc, and it's not fair to the team, ultimately. The team members that made a commitment to be there, that are participating in the event and getting all the benefits that you're just talking about out of that team event, but you bailed. And I will say, I mean, not to sound too harsh, but to me, I'm like, what else are you bailing on? Like, should I be looking at you more closely in the work setting to go, what other corners are you cutting?
When
Where
it
else?
doesn't suit you,
Yeah.
you're going to take this path.
Yeah.
Because all I was doing was showering you with a bougie place, and the best you can come up with is you had cramps and you can't make it, and that's such an inconvenience to you. So what else are you like going, no, I don't want to check those charts because I don't feel like it today. I didn't get Starbucks made my drink wrong. And you know what I mean? Like, what?
Agreed.
When it doesn't suit you, then what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So I guess, here I really am picking on the team. What can doctors do about it?
I know. So for me, I do think you mentioned the word culture. I do think it's a culture issue here to go, not like, oh, the whole team culture is broken. But if somebody's bailing on you for a minimal excuse at the least, at the last minute, I start going, okay, does that team member not respect you enough to come? Does that team member not have enough respect for their coworkers to show up when they said that they were going to show up? So we first and foremost need to go, do we have a culture problem? And not that this is a pervasive culture problem. One team member bailed or two team members bailed on this. But I would say you need to look at those two team members because of the questions I just asked. Like, that would make me suspect to go, do I trust this person? And are they potentially a culture problem? Now, I'm not saying go off and fire somebody for not coming to team building, but I think you need to have an evaluation process over the next few months. Maybe little tasks that you give them. Did they get that done? How is their communication with me? Do I sense an attitude? Is there something going on here that I need to dig into because she was very quick to bail on this team building event? So am I missing something with this person? Maybe that's where we incorporate the team feedback forms, right? And how is the team viewing her? Does she seem like she's well received among the team? Do they appreciate her? So I think first and foremost, it should cause us to pause and go, do we have a problem here?
Which I'm glad you said that, because I think my friend thought I was crazy because she's very even keel. She's like, no drama. She was venting, right? But I was like, but to me, this speaks highly, like, to me, that's very disrespectful to do that to you at the nth hour. And so do you have a culture problem?
Yeah.
And so, she might have been viewing that as, oh, you're making a mountain out of nothing. Like, I shouldn't have called you, But to me, I'm like, no, because this to me, I don't want to ignore. This to me is a red flag. Yeah. And you need to do your due diligence to see if you do have somebody who's in front of everybody on the surface level going, rah, rah, yay team, yay culture. But then when you do something like this, something ain't right.
Yeah. And it could be that it's just that person, or it could be that it's a pervasive culture problem, and you do need to figure that out. So I would say step one, don't just assume that it's this person. Take a moment to go, whoa, wait a second, do I have a problem? And let's evaluate this. Starting with the person that bailed, and then letting it look at the other culture, the other team members for culture as well. So I would say that's step one. And then step two is you need to evaluate what you're doing going forward from a team building standpoint. Are you going to continue to put together events like this? Maybe you're doing, like, I think about the frequency with which you do team building events. You've got these throughout the year. I would say every other month or so, you've got something. And that is a passion of yours. That has created a really great culture on your team. There's an appreciation for that. So it works. If you are somebody that people are bailing on the team building last minute every time you have something and you're doing something every other month, the first question I might ask is maybe that's too much. Maybe your team doesn't appreciate it enough for you to keep financially investing. And maybe you do need to scale back momentarily. Maybe you don't stay scaled back, but it's enough of a wake-up call that you're like, okay, let me make sure that I'm investing properly in this team, and maybe I cut a couple out just to assess if there's less of them, are they more inclined to be there? Like, for example, if I've got a client that only does one team building event a year, it's like, yep, Christmas. We do a Christmas party every year, and that's it. We go all in on that Christmas party. I can guarantee you that those team members are probably showing up to that one Christmas party because it's the one and only thing that they're experiencing from a team building standpoint. So even just evaluating the frequency or the quantity of those team building events may be a good takeaway on this as well. And then I would say the third thing is exactly what you do, setting the expectations on if you RSVP, I'm expecting you, and there is a consequence if you don't come.
So I agree with all of that. Because I think I did do a lot, and I think I could see myself, like I backed off myself.
Yeah.
Just kind of going, I don't need to do this. And I do try to vary it up some because I don't want anybody to think that they're owed or that I'm always going to, like, I don't want somebody to expect that of me, that I'm always going to XYZ. So I'm like, no, we're not doing that this year. We're not doing whatever. And I just leave it at that. So two things I want to talk about. One was, well, let me ask you this one first. So the team member, because I know this has come up in my office before. How do you handle when a team member has either alluded to or has directly said, well, I'd rather have a cash bonus? Mm-hmm. I find that to be so incredibly techy. But on the other hand, I guess if the doctor's like, what do you guys like? Then you've kind of opened yourself up for it.
Right.
What do you think is how do we handle that? If somebody, if I think I remember another colleague years ago had arranged for her team for their Christmas gift or whatever gift it was, that she was going to bring in a professional photographer to get headshots because it's expensive.
Yeah.
And she's like, I get my headshot and team members may want it for their resumes or their whatever. Right. And who's going to go spend $150 and getting there? So she went through the trouble of bringing in the photographer with the backdrop and was going to gift them all this. And she said she had a couple of team members that were belly aching. Like, what am I supposed to do with this picture? Why couldn't she have just given us money?
Yeah.
And so I know that is something that enters people's minds.
Yeah.
Just give me the money. So what are your thoughts on that for the doctor to nip that in the bud if they hear that, but also for team members who are listening, who are going, well, yeah, I would rather have the cash. I really don't want my photo, or really don't want a night at a hotel. Can you just give me the $200 instead?
Right.
Can you give us some thoughts on, am I being too, sentimental and saying, well, no, I want to gift you this instead? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
So I'm going to cut straight down the middle of this conversation and go, I can absolutely see it from the doctor's perspective, which is, well, no, I put a lot of thought into this gift and I meant something by it. And now you're poo-pooing on this and going, I would like this instead. It'd be like one of my kids, my parents give them a well thought out gift and they look at it and hand it back and go, can you just return this and give me the money instead? I would beat the mess out of my kid for that. I mean, that is disrespectful on so many levels. So from a team member standpoint, you should not be saying that. That is rude. Now, from the doctor owner side, I would say you need to evaluate if they're saying that. Stop and go, okay, are they being rewarded in the practice? Are they saying that because, man, a bonus is the only way I'm going to make more in this practice? So you need to pause and go, are they asking for cash because they financially need it and they would prefer that to put food on the table as opposed to the headshot in your example that you said? So we need to stop and evaluate that. But the other side of team building is it should be team building. there is a side benefit to the practice owner in investing that money in the team so that they are building better connections, they're communicating better. Just like you said earlier, you're seeing that team member in a different light. So the business owner is gaining something out of that team building. So if you need to make a change, maybe it's instead of the 6 team building events, maybe you're doing 3. And then you're subbing out cash for the other ones. So evaluate yourself first and make sure you don't need to make changes. Now, from the team member side of things, I think it's really rude to say that. It's okay to say, oh man, instead of spending a day at the pool, I could have really, we just paid all this money for school supplies. I could have really used the money. We're kind of hurting. That's real life. And we can't fault our team members for thinking that. Like, oh gosh, if I traded the value of this day in. Or what if it's on a work day and it's like, oh man, I'm missing so many hours of work. I really needed to work to be able to put food on the table. Because that's a very real reality. And so I think from the team member standpoint, we should never say it. But then in your meetings that you have with the practice owner, share some ideas and go, hey, have you ever, thought about doing, subbing out maybe this team building event? And could we do something in the office that's really productive for the practice that might be a bonus at the end of that month? Just an idea. So it's not just like, hey, can you give us cash instead of doing the headshots? No, come up with a plan to go, hey, I've thought about, we could really maximize August if we did this, and this. And maybe that would be a really big production month for the practice. And then maybe we could do a bonus attached to that. So you can get feedback to your doctor in a way that does not sound self-centered, which is like, I want the cash, which is rude.
Like 2 of mine that aren't coming to our party are going to go work. It's on a Monday.
Yeah.
Fair. Off you go. Go work. I will miss you, and I feel bad that you have to work when the rest of us are going to go enjoy our time at the pool.
Yeah.
That sucks for you, but I respect that. Like,
exactly.
Off you go. The other question I had for you is back to the friend. So when I was like, okay, can I give you some advice? First of all, you need to learn to protect yourself by, all the things we've talked about. The other thing I said was, she's a client of yours. And I said, well, luckily you've got Bethany. And if I was you, I would put Bethany on them because Bethany will set them straight real quick. And that way you can keep your hands clean. So can you talk about like,
what
you should do, what you would do if somebody doesn't have a Bethany, or if she does ask you to talk to these team members, you talk to the whole team, just these 2, like what can you do in this situation?
So for me, it's different if I'm stepping in because I'm going to speak very clearly and go, that was super disrespectful. And as a consultant, I may potentially be advising my client to cut back on team building because of your actions here. So I would take a very direct approach because it irritates me very badly. Not just in this situation, but also for all of the clients that I've sat with that have put all this heart and money into these events to have team members disrespect them in that way. It's very frustrating. So I would bring a very direct approach to them. I get that I'm different because I pop in once a month and I can be the bad guy and I can walk away. I don't have to sit and look at these ladies on a daily basis. So for a practice owner to go and do that, that's much more challenging because you need to work with them for however long. So for the practice owner that's needing to step in and deal with this situation, it needs to be addressed, in my opinion. I don't think we can gloss over this because it may reinforce a negative culture or the expectation that you can just poo-poo on this gift and everything's going to be status quo. So I do think it needs to be addressed. I would probably say individually. If I step in and help my client on this, I would have an individual conversation with each of those team members that did that. And I would say the same thing for the practice owner. Rather than, huddling up all 10 people and going, come on in, let's talk about team building, then let's set some really clear expectations. Everybody in that room knows that you're talking to the 1 or 2 people that bailed. So don't do that. Go directly to those 2 people and communicate your disappointment. I do want you to know that this was a really big deal for you to back out last minute. Even though I wouldn't normally do this, I do need you to see the cost of what that what happened because of that. I couldn't get my money back. It ended up being $600 that I couldn't use. It went down the drain. And that's unacceptable going forward. So in the future, if you RSVP for an event, you need to come. So you kind of directly talk with them, but then I would make policy changes for the team building.
So in that case, what I can see happening, what this doctor might face if she were to talk to, because I think one of the rooms, the doctor called another team member and said, hey, this room's not going to be used if you want to bring your whole family, because she was only going to bring like her 2 kids, but now she's going to bring her niece and nephew and whatever. So she's getting 2 rooms. And then the other one, that person herself offered up her own room to somebody else. Which I'm like, that wasn't your room to offer up.
Yeah.
So anyway, and so now this one team member is getting like 3 rooms for her whole family. And so in their mind, the 2 who bailed might be like, well, it didn't go to waste. She got these rooms. What are you complaining about? Like, so if they came back with that, then what would you do?
Then I would say, but I wouldn't have, you got to think of the initial booking. I would never have booked 3 rooms for this one employee and all of her family. That is $600 that I would not have spent. So yes, it did go to waste. Even though somebody used it, I would have never intentionally spent that money like that. You could have told me, if you were wishy-washy on this event, you should have never RSVP'd for it. And I would have saved myself $600 in that booking. So...
And I think their response will tell you a lot. If they're kind of like, well, that's just not my... I can't help that I had cramps that morning. I think there you go. You've got your culture problem person.
Yeah.
And you need to just... Or if they're just like, okay, I apologize, I understand. Then that's the one, like you were saying, you got to watch them.
Yep. Yeah. Because again, I don't know. It's exceedingly disrespectful. It's exceedingly frustrating for the practice owner to have put all that thought in and then for somebody to bail. And so if they aren't realizing that and they're like, well, it's not my fault, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I would say that's potentially a culture problem that we need to either move on out or somehow minimize their potential impact on the team. Because unfortunately, negative carries forward. And if they've kind of got that disrespect for the doctor, they will spread it to other team members.
When I even think about, okay, if you're going to be that disrespectful with the doctor's resources, then are you the one who's always putting like 10 gauze instead of 2 and don't care? Are you the one that's taking the bonding agent and leaving it uncapped? Are you the one who's, dropped the Nomad 3 times? Like, if you have a very little level of respect for the financial resources, then that probably carries over. Yeah. And then you are getting other team members are being exposed to this one person. Are you the one who's just like, I don't feel like following up on that claim? Right. It's like, insurance isn't going to pay it. I'm not going to follow up on it. Yeah. It's not my money. Well,
because
it'd be
to me,
nice
that's
if
a
they
character
did.
issue.
Yeah.
It is a character issue. And character impacts even our workflow. The other thing that I think about too is if there is that level of disrespect ultimately for the doctor, I do wonder how else is that disrespect potentially being communicated. So not only am I disrespecting my role and what I potentially should be doing or how lazy I might be in that role, but am I spreading that disrespect elsewhere? Even
in patient interactions. Yeah. Like, I know the doctor recommended this crown, but I think you're fine if you wait a year. It's just, where does it end, I think. So knowing this colleague, and you know her well, obviously, like if she doesn't have you talk to them, I could just see her not saying anything and just making some policy changes. Mm-hmm. And I think, again, she's very trauma averse and just very low key, chill, very black and white direct. And I think that could work well for her. I think her team would probably pick up on it very quickly to go, okay, this is why these changes have been made. Mm-hmm. So it may work for her to not address it, but I just think, I think she would, if nothing else, she's going to start watching these 2 people very carefully. Yeah. Because she's not a dummy.
No. And to me, that's a great takeaway as well. Is that it's like, okay, we're going to keep a close eye on that person or those people. And to me, that's a great takeaway too. I do think she'll make some changes. I could see her being the type of person that's like, this ain't going to happen again. And again, she's incredibly low drama, level-headed, and she's also the type of person like, there's no reason to get up my panties all in a twist about something that I can't do anything about, which I think is the right mindset. Absolutely, because that's wasted emotional energy. But I do think she'll make changes to where it cannot happen again. And I think that's a good takeaway. So, so frustrating. Team members, I always like to say a little note to team members. Please understand the thought process and the time and the energy and the money that goes into these. And while team members, you are appreciated and you're cared for, and we couldn't do this without you, make no mistake that the doctor doesn't have to do these things for you. And so if you've got a doctor that is like this lady that we're talking about today and is doing these things, please don't disrespect it. Be thankful for it and grateful for it. And, just, I don't know, don't disrespect it by bailing on it or by
don't ruin
talking
it for your
about
teammates, because
Yeah.
guaranteed, like this doctor may not allow this anymore. And there's some when we plan events, I know I'm not going to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
The pool is just not not everybody's jam. I get that.
Yeah.
That's okay. You're allowed to skip it. I wish you wouldn't. I'm putting myself through an uncomfortable position. I wish you would too. But if you can't, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
But don't. And like mine that isn't coming because she doesn't like the pool. She's not ruining it for anybody else. She's very quiet about it. Very whatever. Very
Right.
respectful and appreciative of the event. But hey, I'm passing on this one. Great. That's fine. I wish you would make a different choice, but no hard feelings. Like that, really, I have no problems with that. And she's not ruined it for the rest of the team.
Yes. She's still been respectful even though she's not coming. And I think that's important. So, yeah, team members, help us out on this.
Thanks for joining the conversation today. We hope that you are comforted in knowing that you are not alone, but we also hope that you're walking away with some really great tips and tricks to try in your practice. We value your feedback, so please take a few moments to rate and review the podcast. Finally, we want to make sure that we're covering the topics that matter to you. So track us down on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and let us know what topics you want us to cover. As always, please know that we are rooting for you today as you manage your dental drama.